All right, guys, we're back on the Next Level Agents podcast, and I'm excited. I've been waiting to record this one. I got my buddy Chad Hedrick here joining me today. Chad, how you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me, man.
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, Chad, dude, I'm excited. Um, you and I were both in Cabo about a little more than a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, and for the first time, I got to hear you kind of talk and sort of tell your story. And I've known a lot about you. You and I've gotten to know each other a little bit over the last, what, 8, 9 months now. And so I've gotten little bits and pieces of it, but I was able to like watch you sort of tell your story, not quite from beginning to end, because you can only do so much in 20 minutes on stage, right? But I
Yeah.
did get to hear more of your story and kind of like in a sequential order. And that was really cool. And I was thinking like, man, I really got to get Chad on the podcast because you have such a cool story and we couldn't possibly dig all in, go down all the rabbit trails I'd like to go down in one episode. So perhaps we'll end up doing two or three of these over the course of maybe the next 6 to 12 months. But I thought it'd be really cool for the listener that doesn't know you. You know, you're an Olympic medalist, not just a medalist, but a multi. You've won multiple medalists, including a gold, which is, by the way, really cool. Thank you for letting me hold that in person there in Cabo. But so you've won some medals, and you've also won in business. Like you've been able to build a big business in the real estate world. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool if we sort of talk about um, some of those things like that helped you be so successful in sports translate into the business world. So I thought that's where we dig in today. Does that sound cool with you?
Yeah, that's great. So just kind of long story short here, you get done with an Olympic career and it's all you've ever known, right? And then you get done and the world's waiting for you. And you think what you've done is such a big deal and that everybody's going to give you all this opportunity and the world's just going to welcome you with rose petals, right? And then you realize that, hey, man, you're in this little sports bubble and nobody really cares once it's over, right? And that's kind of where I landed. And ultimately, a life that was all about confidence and pride, and a lot of, quite honestly, to get to the top level to a degree, you have to be a little arrogant. You have to have that edge. But ultimately, um, I found myself starting a new life. And what I realized really quickly is the old me had to go away. I can stay competitive. I can still have the desire to win. But in that process, I have to learn to serve other people around me and take off uh, that coat, that jacket I was wearing of, you know what, win or, second place is the first loser type mentality. And so now here we are in real estate, and I've been able to make some incredible relationships. And now with friendships like you and Fred and Curtis Johnson and Kim Frazier, I mean, some of these relationships, I mean, if it were me 10, 12 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to welcome these relationships with open arms. But I'm glad my transformation as a person and the model of EXP and embracing that has really shown me how important relationships are, not only with clients, but also now with business partners and other agents.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about, and for the listener that maybe doesn't know yet, so Chad, you're obviously you're a decorated athlete. I mean, inline speed skater as well as ice speed skater. I mentioned already having won Olympic medals and having world records. And be so effectively, what I'm saying is like you've competed as Chad, as the skater, as the athlete at the highest of high level. And to your point, I think is what you were just saying is that was about you pushing you, and that's great. And now here you are in the real estate world or in the business world, and sort of like I'll call it even real life. And it's no longer just about how great can Chad be, how hard can Chad push Chad, right? It's about, you mentioned business partners and clients and just these relationships. Where do you think I'd love to hear from each other, like, where do you think you're sort of, I'll call it training, if you will, and how to be an amazing, gifted athlete, uh, how to be a great athlete has come over and helped you in the business world? Because I know you've shared a little bit of where it's maybe hurt you a little bit because it was sort of all about you and getting the most out of you. But if you had to reflect back on all of the training and all of the coaching you've had through the years, what part of that has like really helped Chad, the business, like the business guy, the guy that is got a business that's all, granted, it's all about relationships, but it is still a business world, which is much different than the sports world.
Yeah, there's several things. Okay. Number one, as an Olympic athlete, you always have a coach. Okay. You always have a coach. You always have somebody that knows how to direct you. You know, always have somebody who's has a wisdom that maybe has been through an experience that you haven't been through. And I think being a former athlete, I am very good at seeking wisdom from those that have been there in the past. You know, I think you'd be able to agree with me in the short time we've known each other how I've really engaged with you guys in an attempt to help other people and not stray them, not lead them astray. I think that's one thing, is really understanding that I don't know everything and there's people around me that do, and being able to utilize those resources. I think, you'll never win a gold medal without a coach who shows you, you know, technical things, how to handle your equipment, how to rest, how to have your training schedule, all these things. So I think that's one thing that is really a strength of mine, is utilizing and helping people around me by using the tools that I have. I think another thing is, we can overuse the word passion and dedication, and I'm not even going to go there. But the fact is, you have to be willing, and I said this when I skated too. You have to be willing to do the dirty work. It's the dirty work. It's the stuff that nobody's watching. It's not speaking on the stage and talking about how great your business is. It's what's behind the curtain, right? And I shared with you, like, coming home from Cabo, how inspired I was and how many lives I want to change through my business. And it takes me back to, like, being a new agent and building a business and showing up to get your commission check. And then the next day it starts over again with no fulfillment all, other than just, hey, thank you from the client. There's nothing. You're a man on an island working, right? And I always felt that way. I felt so lonely in this business. So that's when I started a team, and it's created a lot more purpose for me in this business. But now with my direction and starting and joining EXP last month, it's incredible in just a short period of time how many people are investing in my business and how many friendships I'm creating along the way, and how sincere these relationships are. I feel like I could travel all over the country right now and call them from the airport and say, hey man, let's hang out,
I think that's one of the things I love about real estate in general, with it being, not everybody operates this way, but with it being effectively a bunch of independent, business owners, right? You own your own business, I own my own business. Um, and so does realistically almost every agent. Not everybody operates that way, but we all have that opportunity to. And when you have that, you've got people who are who are more prone, more likely to seek out information and help. And therefore we're able to find ourselves in rooms and in conversations with other people that are looking to improve and want to get better. And what I found is, like, that's where the best relationships come from, right? You and I are sitting there going, how can we get better? what is it that I can share with you that'll help your business grow? What is it you could share with me that'll help my business grow? And then we actually do that. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about our industry. Now, our company, not all of our listeners are with our company, EXP. I love that our company sort of sets things up. It's literally designed to encourage more of that. But even outside of our company, just our industry overall, because it's the mindset of the small business owner, which is usually that of like someone who wants to grow and learn and get better, it creates a lot of opportunities for us to meet cool people and build some really cool relationships because we want to just be basically because we want to learn more and we're willing to give back as well. And for me, man, that's one of my favorite things. And I felt like even the first time I met you last year in Las Vegas, it was kind of the same thing. Like I sensed that about you right away that yeah, you have a great business going, but you were a guy that was looking to learn and to grow your business at the same time. And so I knew right away, I was like, okay, this guy, he's one of us, right? I knew right away you and I would be buddies because you seem like the type of guy who's trying to get better.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we can do is wake up and do the dirty work and help those around us. When you see people around you building, and you see that maybe an investment that you made in them pays off, man, there's nothing that's more fulfilling than that. And like since I've joined this community, it's up on 4 or 5 weeks now. Um, I've had two people hold business meetings with my team to share how they've built their business. Like they take an hour out of their busy schedule to tell my 8 people, my squad, how they can get better. I mean,
It's powerful, man.
there's nothing in it for them. There's really nothing in it other than community and service because they've been rewired through this.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me ask you this question, dude. Going back to, I'd love to hear again, what was it that led to a career in real estate? Like when you finally were like, hey, I'm gonna go the skating thing's over with. And I know you tried your hands in a few other things, but like what led to the decision real estate? I'm always fascinated by this one because we as realtors, we all come from so many different walks of life. So love to hear that part of your story.
I I don't really know, honestly, man. I fell into this. No, I floundered, man. I tried different things and it was so hard for me because from the time I was a young kid skating, I was always the fastest kid. I grew up, it was part of my life from a very, very young age. And when I retired in 2010, when I crossed the finish line, I didn't know what the world was going to offer. And man, I got slapped in the face, right? I mean, I really didn't know. I'd never been defeated like that. And my identity was wrapped up in me, my success, and my sport. And since then, it's completely, it's not even ironic, but I'm a man of faith, and I've been positioned in a world where client relationships and relationships in general, a life way beyond how cool Chad Hedrick is, where that is what it's all about. And now in a community here with people like yourself, I mean, it's I even if there wasn't any monetary gain in moving and joining this community, the relationships and the value in these relationships are life changing.
Yeah, there really is. You said something about um around kind of coming to the end of your athletic career and having your identity really being tied up in skating and who being an athlete. I think even, I know a lot of people who, and I think everybody can identify with this on some level, and at least every high achiever. I know I certainly can to a certain point, a lot of people who are their identity is even tied up in who they are as a business person. So like, hey, business is going great, they're enjoying life. And if business isn't going great, they're not able to enjoy life. Right. What advice could you give now, kind of looking back as you had to go through a pretty tough transition? If you were sort of coaching or mentoring, whether they're a real estate agent or just a different, business owner in general, whose sort of identity is tied up in what they do, what's the advice that you give to that person? Because I know a lot of folks out there listening struggle with that to a certain extent.
Yeah, it's very, very easy. A lot of times we make it so difficult on ourselves, and it's not being defined by what you do, but being defined by who you are. And it's so simple. We overlook it, but you know, I grew up, all I wanted to do was win the race, and I wanted to have the notoriety, and I wanted fame and fortune and all this through my Olympic career. And because that, I built myself up on this pedestal. And really, when that was over, I had absolutely nothing. I had a lot of relationships where there was a lot of manipulation. My life had a lot of compromise, and it was not greater than Chad. It was all about Chad. And when you realize that, hey, the world's going to go on whether you're in it or not, that's when you really find who you are, and you realize that what kind of impact and what kind of fulfillment comes with service. All
Did
right.
you, was there like,
I can't, like, honestly, I can't believe I look back at myself 10 years ago, 13 years ago, and I imagine like this Chad Hedrick in 2010 thinking like this. And it's mind boggling. This never would have been my mentality. It was about me crushing everybody to show that I was stronger, I was faster, I worked harder, I had a better work ethic, that you're weak, right? And now the script has been flipped, because you figure out sometimes your way doesn't work. And everybody in this world will figure it out at one point or another. I don't care if you're the richest man in the world or the most successful man, your way at one point will not work.
yeah, I always say, my buddy Dustin and I always talk about, like, if you don't believe that yet, it's just because you haven't been punched in the face by life yet. But it's going to happen. And usually at the moment that you believe that the most is right before life smacks you upside the head. There's no doubt. You just said something that it kind of brought up a thought. I was interviewing my buddy Brian a couple weeks ago for the podcast, and he was sharing with me I think it was a Ray Dalio quote from one of his books, where effectively said, like, this progression that a lot of us go through in business starts off, and I would imagine same thing in sports, is where we start off like, I'm gonna prove to myself that I can do it. And so we do it, we become quote unquote successful, we prove to ourselves, and then hopefully for a shorter period of time. But normally what happens is we prove to the rest of the world, like we spend time proving that we did it, but we're proving it to everyone else. So it's no longer about proving it to ourselves, it's about proving it to the rest of the world. And then hopefully we move quickly into more of this kind of contribution phase, where it's like, cool, now I've proved that I can do it to myself. I've proved that to the world as well. Now I want to prove that you can do it, and that we can help, I can help other people prove to themselves that they can do it. And I think that's this very natural progression that we all go through. And so as you were sharing that, that just really kind of came to mind. Does When I share that with you, does that ring true to you, or does that set off anything for you?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, honestly, I mean, what I was thinking about as you were talking there was like, it's crazy to think this, but you you go through life and you're winning and you're doing a lot of stuff, then you get smacked in the face and you realize your way doesn't work, and you're not fulfilled, you're not happy, even though you're the same person. And then you start searching for what makes you happy. And for me, it was like, oh, I'm going to get more people involved in my business because I want to serve. I want to do this. But in reality, you're still searching. You don't really know if that's going to make you happy or not. And then you get rewarded when you get to a point and it's like, oh my gosh, my leadership helped this person triple their business in 2022. Or, oh my gosh, I've got 12 families at my house for Christmas dinner, a Christmas party, company party. And what we're doing is providing for these families by serving clients. And it's like, oh my gosh, I wasn't just lying to myself searching for something more.
Yeah, it is really cool when you sit back and build. And I will say too, um, harder. You probably you went through having sort of like the a massively successful career outside of real estate prior to building then another really successful career inside of real estate. I know for me though, like real estate was the first thing that I like really, was the first time I got to, I'm not going to say the top of the mountain, but that I started really, ascending. And it's easy to just kind of forget that, hey, there are 10 or 12 other families here that this little business that I'm running is actually impacting. Because sometimes it's easy to, especially when you're an achiever or you're somebody who's got a lot of goals and you're kind of not yet satisfied, like you're kind of looking towards the future. It can be really easy to overlook the impact that you're currently making. And yet what I found now as I've gotten a little bit older and realize is like actually just appreciating the impact that I have made or that I am making, I think in a way actually helps me to make more impact in the future, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I just, Kevin, at the end of the day, you and I are going to wake up. Every day we wake up, we're going to make 10 mistakes. We're going to
Yeah,
do stuff that's good for only Kevin. We're going to do stuff that's only good for Chad. And we're human, right? And so understanding that we're flawed, we're broken humans, um, looking through life with a lens to intentionally help others is is an incredible perspective and start each day.
no doubt. Let me ask you, when it comes to your real estate business, like your actual sales business, um, what's that? First of all, how long have you been licensed now?
7 years.
7 years. Okay, so we're
I'm a
2020.
rookie.
So you're man, you're still pretty fresh, and you've built a pretty darn good business in a relatively short period of time. If you had to say, hey, here's the two or three things that I did right, that have really helped me to build a business, what would you say those things are?
Number one, creating a unique brand. Something we've got 40,000 agents here in Houston. I don't know how many you have out there.
Just about the same in Phoenix. Yeah,
And I'll tell you, everybody seems to be the same. Uh,
true.
I've given a lot of effort and time into creating a brand that nobody nobody can replicate, if you will. So the name of my brand, Gold to Sold. My wife came up with it, and I have ran with it. I think ultimately, rather than just using your name, you have to have something that's memorable. That's me. I'm more marketing oriented, and I'm not process oriented. So I've ran a lot across a lot of struggles as far as operating the business, and I've relied on coaches to help me do that. But I'm more marketing oriented, and I've done a really good job, I believe, with my team to establish that. And then also really engaging with the people that care. I've spent a lot of time and money in the past and generating leads and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, if I were to take those funds and invest that in the people that have already trusted me. Look, there's people out there spending two, five, 10, $20,000 a month on leads. Man, what if you were to invest that in the people that have already said, hey, I want to tell everybody about you. I'm your friend. I want to support your business.
All right, Chad. So you talked about brand. You've done a great job building a brand. You've talked about sort of engaging the people that already like you, love you, trust you, that are already there as a client and a referrer of your business. What's the third thing that you would add on to that list of kind of the top 3 or 4 things that you've done to really help grow a massive real estate business in a relatively short period of time?
It's easy. The third thing is not thinking about the commission, taking that out of the picture completely and not thinking about what the gain is for you with the closing, but going to them just like we serve our team, just serving the people and understanding how to help. There's a completely different perspective when you're wanting to help them and you're expressing that throughout the transaction rather than just feeling like you're working hard for them to accomplish a goal. I think there's a difference, and people can see when you work hard. There's no doubt, but people can really see when you have their best interest at heart and that you openly express that, hey, here I am. I just want to help you. What are your goals? And walking them through the process and letting them know that their goals are important to you and you're thankful that they chose you to work with.
I love that, man. Those are 3 really great points, and definitely kind of, quite frankly, all 3 of them really speak to me personally.
I think honestly, Kevin, like a lot of times we just expect people to understand the process. We do it every day. And we expect people to know each step of the way when, hey, you can break it down and they may say, yeah, I know the process. That's wonderful. But when you can set expectations of what they're going to experience each step of the way, whether buying or selling, man, that's appreciated. That's advisory at its best.
Yeah, it really is. It's funny because you probably won't be surprised, or you probably noticed this too. There's a lot of very successful realtors that used to be teachers, because at the end of the day, becoming a teacher and sort of maybe consultant is more of like the professional word or the business word for that. But being a teacher in helping folks understand the steps in the process in the home buying, home selling process really pay off. Because to your point, most people don't do this. Now, some of us specialize in working with investors, et cetera, but for the most part, the general public doesn't buy and sell a lot of real estate. It's something that they're doing once a decade or so. And so when you take the time to really educate people and help them understand the process, yeah, you're going to stand out, and you're going to build relationships, and you're going to create sort of that quote unquote raving fan, the people that are going to refer you. And it's going to be, it's kind of like it builds the ultimate win-win, because people at that point in turn want to be able to help you too.
Right. Not only that, but how does the process change every 8 to 10 years?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Like things are, I mean, think about, well, for you, so you've been licensed 7 years now. Things are a little bit different today in the market than they were 7 years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, these are things that, in any business, if you haven't experienced specific parts or times or struggles in the business, all you have is your the people that have been in there a little longer than you. You have to trust them and get that wisdom. And that's something that's been a weakness of mine, but I am able, like that strength that I told you, being able to engage and understand what may be coming and how to kind of shift my business using the knowledge and the expertise of people that have gone through it.
Yeah, so true, man. So true. Well, Chad, let me for the listeners, we actually haven't said it yet, and I would love for people to be able to reach out to you and kind of, if they want to learn more, or maybe they got a referral for you. Where tell the folks where kind of your home base coverage is, and then what's the best way for the listeners who maybe want to just like learn more about your story, or just follow you. Where can people find you at?
Yeah. So I serve the greater Houston area, but my hub, if you will, my specialty is more in North Houston, and that would be kind of in the Woodlands, Texas. So it's a big suburb north of Houston, about 30 miles north of Houston. But we serve the whole city. I do business everywhere. And I'd love to be able to engage. If you guys have any questions or anything, you can feel free to give me a call, or even reach out to me at Instagram. You can send me a DM at Gold to Sold Chad is my handle on Instagram. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or want to connect. I'm looking forward to continuing to build my referral network all across the nation.
Gold to Soul Chat. I love it, man. It's not hard to remember. I love that. It's a great brand, dude. Chad, I just got to tell you, man, I appreciate you so much. I love your heart for helping other people, and the way you also kind of you show up as a student everywhere I see you. And that's something that it matters to me, because I like to do the same. I always like to know, like, what can I learn, who can I learn from, and you've been a guy that I've been able to learn from as we've gotten to know each other. And I just appreciate that about you a ton, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to the future, the relationships that we're building, and how we can continue to mold our business. Everybody's got one little nugget that they can teach you to make you a little better.
It's so true. And you definitely shared a few of those today, that I think that if somebody took those nuggets that you shared on the growth of their business, and even sort of some of the other stuff we talked about as it relates to like mindset, and crossing over from sports and into business, like if you can just go implement those one or two things or three things that you mentioned, that's helped you grow your business, like there's no way it doesn't help you improve your business. And that's what this show is all about. It's helping each other get better, and having better lives, bigger lives, and bigger businesses. So Chad, thanks a lot for being a guest today on the show, and just appreciate you, dude.
All right. Hey, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week on the Next Level Agents podcast.